Rajon Rondo be the Lakers' starting point guard on opening night, or is he going to be struggling to find minutes this season? What is Rondo's role with the purple and gold going to be? Make sure to stay tuned. You're watching Lakers Report by Chat Sports, all things Lakers. I'm your host, Hannah Kulik, aka Lakerhan. Now, before we get into this Rajon Rondo player profile, discuss his role with the Lakers this season, I want to make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button down below so you do not miss a single second when it comes to our Los Angeles Lakers. And while you're at it, go ahead and give me a follow on my Instagram at HannahRoseKulik and my Twitter at Hannah_Kulik. But let's move on to Rajon Rondo. Now, what is his role going to be? Obviously, for the Lakers going into the season, one of the biggest question marks is who's going to be in that starting lineup, and most in particular, who's going to be the Lakers starting point guard on opening night. Now, a lot of people are assuming that the opening night starting five is going to look a little bit like this. We're going to have Rajon Rondo at that point guard. We're going to have LeBron at that small forward, Danny Green shooting guard, Anthony Davis power forward, and then either Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee at center. It seems like a no-brainer to a lot of people that Rondo would be in that starting lineup, be the starting point guard, because he's an NBA champion. He's been All-NBA defensive team 4 times. He's led the league in assists 3 times, led the league in steals. He's played with both LeBron and Anthony Davis. So really seems like a no-brainer. Would be the guy on opening night to really be in that starting five at that point guard spot. But recently, Mike Trudell did a Q&A for Lakers.com where he went on to say that actually Rajon Rondo is going to be the guy who's really going to be fighting for minutes this season. His role with the team is not certain, so he is one that could really be fighting to get some consistent minutes this season. Now, before we break this all down and talk about what Rondo's role could really look like with the Lakers this season, I just want to get your opinion really quickly. Do you agree with Mike Trudell? Do you think that Rajon Rondo is going to be fighting and struggling to find minutes this season? If you do, type Y down below. If not, type N down below. Now let's take a look at Rondo's history. So Rajon Rondo is 33 years old. He is going into his 14th NBA season. He's a seasoned veteran. He's most known for playing 8 NBA seasons with the Boston Celtics. Of course, that is where he won his NBA championship. That is really where he played at the height of his career. Now, something that is interesting to note is that even though Rajon Rondo is only 6'1", he actually has a 6'9" wingspan, which obviously if you were looking at his ability to guard the other team's point guard, that 6'9" wingspan is going to be something that really helps him out there. So he's always been known as a good defender. Now, despite playing 8 seasons for the Boston Celtics, something else that's interesting to note with him and his potential role this season is the fact that he's also played with Anthony Davis. He played with AD back when a couple years ago in New Orleans, and they actually had a very successful season. They made the playoffs. They swept the 3rd seed Portland Trail Blazers, so they actually played really well together. Those two guys had a lot of chemistry, so it was reported that actually Anthony Davis was really excited and really wanted Rondo to re-sign with the Lakers this season. Now let's take a look at Rondo's last season with the Lakers, because it was a little bit of a struggle. He struggled to stay healthy. He only played in 46 games, or he started 29 games. Of course, he also had that suspension very early on in the season. If we all remember that game against the Houston Rockets where Rondo reportedly spit in CP3's face, he was suspended for part of the season. He struggled with injuries, broke his hand. He just kind of struggled. He was obviously kind of brought on initially to be Lonzo's mentor, to help Lonzo kind of grow and develop, but it just never really worked out that well last year for Rondo and the Lakers. But despite, his struggles, when he did play in those 46 games, he did have some noteworthy games. Obviously, that Christmas Day game after LeBron James got hurt, Rondo really put the team on his back and helped lead us to that win. He also had that game winner, which was one of the most exciting wins, just in my opinion, last season. That game winner back in Boston, and when the Lakers played in Boston, so that was very exciting. Something that is interesting with Rondo, though, is that no matter how much he kind of struggled last season, it is interesting to point out that he actually played 30 minutes per game when he was healthy and when he was playing. And if you look at his stats, they actually weren't that bad. he averaged 9.2 points, 8.3 assists, and 5.2 rebounds. So it actually makes me curious to see what would have happened if Rondo would have had a little bit more of a consistent season, would have been able to stay healthy. I feel like he would have been able to have a bigger role with this team. So I'm actually excited that Rondo re-signed with the Lakers this year, because hopefully if he's able to stay healthy, he will be able to have a big role and really be able to help this team in multiple ways. Now let's talk about how Rondo can help this team and how he actually may end up struggling to find those minutes after all. But before we do, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you have a FanDuel account? Because if you do not yet have one, go ahead and DM me right now on my Instagram and or my Twitter and ask me how you can set up an account, because it is so easy, it is free, and I'm new to FanDuel as well, and I am starting my own NFL league, and I would love to play with my Laker fam. So if you do not yet have a FanDuel account, go ahead and DM me and I will explain to you how you can set one up, and then once you do so, you can come join me and play with me on my NFL league. But let's move on to Rajon Rondo and talk about Rajon's strengths and some of the best parts of his game that he can bring to the Lakers this season. Obviously, when talking about Rondo's game, the number one thing that you bring up in terms of his strengths and what he can bring to any team is his playmaking and ball handling skills. Like I said, you know, he is one of the league's best playmakers, honestly just one of the best playmakers the NBA has ever had. And even though he is past his prime, he still does that amazing. You know, like I said, he led the league in assists 3 years. He's one of just the best ball handlers and best playmakers that we've truly ever seen. He's not really known for being much of a scorer, but actually last year I do want to point out that he did shoot 36% from three. So although he doesn't really take a high volume of shots, if he does have to take a shot, you know, he does have a pretty good shooting percentage. So he's not the worst shooter. That just hasn't really been a big part of his game. He's more of a playmaking, ball handling point guard, which brings a lot of people the question of what his role is going to be like and why you would have Rajon Rondo in that starting five that also features LeBron James, because as we all know, LeBron is always kind of this de facto point guard, a guy who's going to have his ball in the hands a lot, be that kind of primary ball handler. So if you're having LeBron bring the ball up the floor, why are we even having Rondo in that starting five? Because it doesn't really do much for him and his game. Doesn't it make more sense to have a guy like Avery Bradley or Quinn Cook, even Alex Caruso, someone who can just solely kind of focus on being that knockdown three-point shooter, just scoring the ball, and then of course playing defense and guarding the other team's point guard? A lot of people feel, myself included honestly, that that would be the best fit for the Lakers, is to have a guy, a point guard on that starting five that is more of a shooting point guard instead of a playmaking kind of point guard, and then having Rajon Rondo come off the bench and a second unit that would feature, you know, Kyle Kuzma possibly, KCP, Jared Dudley, and then maybe even Avery Bradley or Quinn Cook if one of those guys, whoever doesn't start, and then of course Dwight Howard or JaVale, whichever one of those guys doesn't start, because besides LeBron and Rondo, we don't really have any other ball handlers. So in that second unit, we are going to need a guy to be a playmaker, and Rajon Rondo obviously would be that perfect fit. So a lot of analysts, Laker fans, and honestly myself included, like I mentioned, just think that it would be best for Rajon Rondo to come off the bench and really be able to be that point guard and that playmaker and let his game thrive with that second unit. But I'm curious, do you think Rondo would be best starting or coming off the bench? If you think starting, type S down below, or if you think coming off the bench, type B down below. Now, even though Rajon Rondo is a really good player, he can bring a lot to this team, there are some struggles that we do have to point out. Some struggles that could definitely lead him to have to be fighting for some minutes this season if other younger guys like Quinn Cook, Alex Caruso, Avery Bradley really step up and play really well. So like we talked about earlier on in this video, Rondo's game has always thrived on the fact that he is a good defender. Back at the height of his career, he was not only known for being one of the league's best playmakers, but also just one of the league's best defenders, especially at that point guard spot. Again, having that 6'9" wingspan definitely helped him out there. But the last few years, he has actually been known to been kind of taking a backseat defensively and been really kind of playing a little bit lackadaisical on defense. And obviously, we all know that the Lakers are really valuing defense this year. They want to be one of the top defensive teams. So if Rondo starts this season not putting much effort on the defensive end, we could definitely see his spot being taken like a guy like Avery Bradley, who is not only a very good defender, known for his defense truly, but is also an amazing three-point shooter, really kind of a 3-and-D type of guy, which, as we know, really complements LeBron's game as well. We could also see his spot being taken like Quinn Cook and Troy Daniels, Alex Caruso, guys who are maybe not the best defenders, but I'm sure if they get the opportunity to be in that starting lineup or even just get consistent playing time, are going to be giving their maximum effort on the defensive end, as well as, you know, Quinn Cook and Troy Daniels, who are knockdown three-point shooters. So Rondo could definitely see some of his minutes kind of diminish if he does not try hard on defense, because the Lakers are really going to value defense, and obviously they are going to need to surround LeBron, really just kind of surround this entire team with a lot of knockdown three-point shooters. And like we discussed also, Rondo is not really known for being a high-scoring point guard. So Rondo's role with this team, in my opinion, is really just going to depend on how he starts this season. I think he is going to get some playing time in the beginning because, again, he has that experience. He's a seasoned veteran. He has the experience playing with LeBron and AD. But if our other guys like Quinn Cook, Avery Bradley, Alex Caruso really sin, then you could definitely see Rondo kind of taking a backseat and having to fight for those minutes. Also, another thing that I think is really going to determine Rondo's role with this team is just whether or not the Lakers are going to be prioritizing playmaking or, of course, shooting and scoring, especially at that starting point guard spot. I personally believe that Rondo would be best coming off the bench because his game really is catered to the fact of his playmaking and ball handling skills. So I think he would just be better and have more of an impact coming off the bench, and having a guy, you know, like a high scorer like a Quinn Cook, like an Avery Bradley in that starting five to go along with LeBron. I just think that would be the best fit for this team, for LeBron, and for everyone else in that starting five. But the Lakers, of course, are going to have to see what works best for them. I do know, however, it is going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out and how Rondo is able to kind of keep his cool if he does end up kind of coming off the bench, or he does see his minutes start to slip a little bit if some of the other new signings the Lakers brought on this year start to play really well and kind of take some of those minutes for him. As we all know, Rondo's known for being a little bit of a hothead, so it's going to be interesting to see. But that is going to be it for today's player profile on Rajon Rondo. Comment down below your thoughts on Rondo. Are you excited the Lakers brought him back? Do you think he's going to have a big role with this team? Do you think he should start? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Also, don't forget to give this video a double thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to also follow Chat Sports here on YouTube and the new Chat Sports Lakers YouTube channel as well. And until next time, Laker Hand is out. Bye, guys.